Jono, at the start of the year, you pinned your flag to the Lions mast, and here they are in the grand final. You're not wavering right at the end, eh?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not now. No, I'm straightening myself up, Jared. A little question mark. I actually said at the start of the year as well that I thought with the top 6 draw that Collingwood might struggle a little bit. The year before they bounced, and I thought now they're going to play the good sides consistently. How are they going to go? And they've proved me wrong. They're coached extremely well. They're a great group to watch and associate with when you sort of sneak in and out through different periods throughout the year, and they're an impressive team. So a big tick to them. But I'm sticking with the Lions, and for me, Ed, I think it becomes a front and square masterclass. I saw the vision before about what Lee Matthews said to Acker, and it just got me thinking, going, you know what? It's the clearances they'll each get a look at it forward of centre. It's their shape around contest, I think, front and square, Ed, which you dominated in, that all of a sudden both teams have got 4 players that I think, if they get their shape right, could put real pressure on the oppo scoreboard.
So we've got Charlie for Brisbane, Charlie, Lincoln.
Yep, Cam Rayner and Bailey.
And Zach Bailey.
Yep.
And then you got Bobby Hill, you got Ginnivan if he starts.
Yep,
Elliott
and Elliott. And if you can expose your opponent going to the back of the contest early, and you get your shape right, all of a sudden I think these smalls could have a real say in the contest when it's hot.
What do you call it? A front and square one?
Front and
square masterclass.
Like
You're going to write that up, brother. You're going to write that up in the Herald Sun.
Said Brad Johnson.
Charlie Cameron's got a good record against the Pies.
Yeah, he does.
You've obviously been with him to this moment before.
Yeah, and watching Charlie play this year, you know, Brisbane has beaten Pies twice this year up at the Gabba, and he's kicked 10 goals, so 6 in this game and then 4 in the other. And I think for Brisbane to win this game, he has to shine. He had some slow starts in the finals, and came up in the second half, but he needs to start from the word going. I think Maynard might go to him, a bigger body, just putting pressure on. I think John Noble went to him in this game. But, for me, for Brisbane to win, I think this man here has to shine. And he can do it. On the ground, he's a front and centre master.
He's a front
and then he can take a grab in the air if he's on a tall. So
no music, though. No music, no country road.
I'll be singing it at the MCG. I'll have it on my phone.
Oh, yeah?
Make sure the crowd
Get the whole crowd going.
I'll be like country road.
Those bays
Take me home.
Take matters into their own hands.
They got to sing it.
We'll see you both as part of the grand final day coverage on Fox Footy. '23 grand final. Collingwood and the Brisbane Lions, Saturday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. This is information overload. We want you to drop everything on us here. The watch list has been in spectacular form throughout September.
The whole world's watching Joey.
Lee Montagna, welcome.
Hello, Jared.
David King, hello.
Boys, how are you?
I've had a preview of this. There's some good stuff here. But 30 minutes that breaks your heart. You've picked Collingwood here, Joe.
Well, I took a deep dive on Collingwood, and it's been, as an analyst, really difficult for analysing Collingwood the second half of the year, because their numbers and their profile don't necessarily stack up of the best team in the competition. Yet coming into the grand final day, that's what they've been all year. So I started to deep dive and think, OK, what is it about the Pies, how they keep winning, despite looking like they haven't owned big portions of the game and off the back of the finals. And it came through that there is a 30-minute period, a 32-minute window on average, where they are putting the foot to the throttle and breaking teams' hearts. They are breaking the game open in a small window. And it looks like this. So out of their 20 wins this year, so in every single one of their wins, in this 32-minute window on average across the course of the year, they have kicked half of their goals in this 30-minute window. So half of their goals have come in basically a quarter of football. And it's happened across the whole season. And then when you take a look and you go, right, so that's when they pile on a lot of their goals. But then you look at what it does with the opposition. In that period of time, the window, throughout the year, They have kicked 141 goals. Their opposition have kicked 12. They have gone on a run in every single game. They have gone on a run. So it's interesting you say that because when you break it down, 4 times it's been the very start of the game.
Yep.
So think about Essendon round 24. They kick 8 goals to zip first quarter.
Yep.
They only kicked 16 for the game. Game over. They did that 4 times. 9 times they've done it throughout the game when they're actually trailing. So it could be, and we'll go through some examples in a minute, but they on average are breaking the game open with a 6-goal difference on their opposition. Whether it's the start of the game, whether it's evenly poised through the middle of the game, or whether, like they've done against Port Adelaide and a couple of other teams, Essendon early in the year, do it in the last quarter. And the Port Adelaide game, they kicked 6 goals in 28 minutes in the last quarter. They only kicked 13 for the game, but they had 6 of them in the last quarter to come back and win. So it's really interesting. And the reason why I started thinking about this and getting on it was off the back of the 2 finals. So we take an example, a look of the Giants game. They only kick 8 goals for the game against the GWS Giants. We know that. But 5 of them came in that 13-minute burst in the third quarter, where they separated the game. They went from 11 points down and they looked like they were under the pump, didn't they?
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, they were 17 points down and all of a sudden they were up by 5. And all of a sudden they got the game on their terms and we know how they were able to hold on to that lead and win the game. You go back 2 weeks earlier to the qualifying final against Melbourne. We know how that started. They only kicked 9 goals, but 5 of them were in that first quarter and then they kicked 1 early in the second. And it was a 27-point lead and we know again that they held on. And this has gone on and on. So just a couple of other examples. Round 22 against Geelong, they kicked 7 of their 16 goals in a period between quarters 2 and 3. They were trailing by 19 points. And then all of a sudden they lead by 22 points. They kicked 7 goals to zip and broke the game open. Round 17 against the Western Bulldogs was another example. If you remember that game Friday night, the Dogs fans will. Dogs were dominating the contest for the first quarter and a half. And then Collingwood pile on 6 of their 13 goals. They kicked 6 goals to zip in 26 minutes and they go from 3 goals down to 2 goals up. It's happened in every single game this year that they've won.
Have you gone really deep and worked out what do they do
that was going to be
in
too
that
hard.
period?
That was going to be too hard to figure out. I think a fair bit would have to be centre bounce. I think there'd have to be some centre bounce dominance in that to get some territory. But there's no real rhyme or reason. As I said, they've done it starts of games, they've done it through the middle part of the game when they've been under pressure, and then we know they've done it late in games to come from behind and win. It's amazing, and that's going to be the watch for Brisbane Lions this week. Now, interestingly, the 2 games they've lost to Brisbane, whenever they've been able to kick, so they kicked 4 goals in 6 minutes against Brisbane in round 23, but Brisbane then responded with three of the next 4, and they did it early in the year. So Brisbane will respond, but just watch in the grand final when Collingwood get the momentum, they put the score on the board. Can Brisbane withstand it? Or is that the 30 minutes that breaks Brisbane's heart?
Great start,
awesome.
Joey.
Awesome.
All right, Kingy, you've got the complete defensive package of the Lions.
Yeah, well, we've seen the same game, aren't we? And you look at the way that Collingwood are scoring. So 17 goals in 2 finals, 15 of the 17 are in the corridor inside their forward 50. So they're absolutely in the prime sweet zone. So I'm looking at Harris Andrews, and I think he could be the complete defensive package that separates these 2 teams. He hasn't got a nominal matchup. They can move him to where they want. Frampton will be probably the guy that gets assigned to essentially tag him. So if you have a look at what he does, right, not only does he win the ball back, but he's a spoiler as well. His spoils, 142 spoils, 51 of them have gone to his teammates. So it's directional spoiling or clearing the area, and then it's a live ball again. There's never a soft drop. So you'll remember a couple from last weekend were huge. You look at intercepting, and he's right up there in the top 3 with Wiedering and Sam Taylor with intercepting and intercept marking, 54 for the season. But they score off the back of his intercepts. It's win the ball and they go. They explode or they're so safe with the footy, there's no cost, and they eventually score, whether it's methodical, slow, wide use or run and gun and go. So if you combine the 2, he's clearly the best defensive package in the competition in terms of winning the ball back. So last weekend we saw it in the first quarter. They were under enormous pressure. 22 inside 50s Carlton got for a quarter of football. He had 6 spoils himself. He had 4 intercepts and was just the difference. Not a lot of marking, but just the ability to diffuse the problem. One-on-one is not a problem. This is easy for him. He's really comfortable. But I think he's gone next level with the complete stuff. Look at this at speed, bang.
That was one of the highlights of the first quarter.
One of the highlights of the game.
Whoa.
You know, I just think he's in such rare form, this guy. You know, look at that for confidence to go for your marks.
So what do they do, Kingy? What are the Pies?
Just before you get there, look at this. So if this is a soft drop, right? If that's a normal spoil, Carlton win that ball. Got front and square representation because it clears that area. Their midfielders have got time to get back and assist. Now, you get an outnumber. Now, whether you win it or you don't, is a bit of random luck involved. But you can understand why he's so effective. How do you stop that?
What do they do if you're coaching?
Interceptors are king now.
Yeah, I know.
They really are. They've taken the game by storm.
But we can't accept it as a Collingwood.
No. So they'll try and tag him, I think, and try and get him back to last line.
Frampton?
I think Frampton. But if it's not Frampton, they have tried Howe in that role in the past. If I'm Harris Andrews or coaching Harris Andrews, I'm saying, mate, you do not take any responsibility for what they're trying to put to you.
Right.
You go where we want you to go. He's the guy, in my opinion, that'll be the difference in this game.
All right, keep going. The classic finals ruckman is...
Oscar, Big O. I mean, last week we were up there, Joey. He was just enormous in that second quarter. Start of the second term when the game shifted, it was off the back of their ability to win clearances. So when Brisbane have won the clearances, they're 14 wins and 2 losses for the season. 14 of 16. Because they're a territory team. Get it into that forward line, get into Vegas, and they go crazy down there. They've got the forward line that we know will get it done. So he does it in different ways. He's unconventional. He's a spiker. He's a grab the boy out of the ruck kind of guy. He's had his trouble with Mason Cox. When he came on as a sub against Collingwood a while back, he had his trouble that night. So this will be interesting. But the problem with the Pies now is, without McStay, what do they need to do with Cox? Can he be the ruckman? Does he have to spend more minutes forward? That's a real balancing act for the Pies. But Darcy Cameron's got a huge role to play in this game. If the big man, the Big O, takes control, then I think it'll be forward half game, lock in, and you won't get past Harris Andrews. So I think the two talls hold sway for me.